Good morning, everyone. This is Paul Watzlawick from the East Asia Pacific Media Hub here in Tokyo. We're happy to have with us today General William Fraser, the commander of the U.S. Transportation Command. General Fraser is on a trip here in the region and has agreed to speak with reporters for the next half hour answering your questions. We have a total of almost 20 journalists on the line, so what we'll ask you to do is when you want to ask your questions, please press 9-1 on your handset and you'll be queued up to ask questions, and then we'll get to you as soon as we can. And what we'd like to do is start off with General Fraser making a few introductory remarks, and then we'll go straight to questions. General Fraser, sir, are you on the line?
Hey, good morning, Paul. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead and, if you'd like to go ahead and start off with just a few basic remarks, and we'll get to the questions so that we can get to as many journalists as we can this morning. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. And I first off want to thank you, Paul, for setting this up, but also for everyone participating today. I would like to just make a couple quick comments, though, on Transportation Command for those of you who may not be as familiar with us in the fact that we are a global command and are responsible for moving people, equipment, and cargo anywhere in the world for the U.S. Department of Defense. And in that role, we utilize all modes of transportation, ground, air, rail, to include trucks and also aviation assets. We are a unique command because we are able to utilize both organic capabilities that we have that are resident within our militaries, but also the fact that we have many commercial partners that we work with. And on any given day, we average in the neighborhood of around 900 airlift flights, so every 90 seconds someone is taking off or landing on one of our missions. Between 60 and 100 air refueling missions, 25 courier missions that we're responsible for carrying critical and time-sensitive cargo, and in the neighborhood of 30 ships underway or loading somewhere in the world, participating in activities that we have tasked them with. We also are responsible for aeromedical evacuation and saving lives, something we're very proud of. And that's why I believe that we have been so successful in saving many who have been involved in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that's not just the U.S. personnel, but that's our international partners that we have provided support to. We also, on any given day, have about 4,000 truck movements underway and in the neighborhood of 100 rail car movements. So we're a functional command. We are supporting other geographic commanders, such as here in the Pacific, which is why I'm out making the rounds now at the invitation of Admiral Locklear. In fact, this is my third trip to the region since I've been in this position. Because of our global presence, we're postured to rapidly respond to unforeseen events anywhere in the world. And we're able to reprioritize our global assets from one region of the world to another based on the taskings that we have been given. And you can imagine since September 11th of 2001, our most visible mission has been deploying and sustaining our forces in Afghanistan and in Iraq. But yet, simultaneously, we have continued to support both routine and other crisis responses globally, and have always met the mission, and I'm very proud of the men and women who actually accomplished that. You know, we make sure that we're integrating our military capabilities as a whole-of-government approach, especially as we rebalance to Asia. We're working closely with Pacific Command. We well understand our responsibility and are doing everything that is required of us. We have always been in the Pacific, as a Transportation Command has, which is something that I think many fail to often realize. But we maintain our military posture as appropriate to support our diplomatic, our economic interests, and other engagements within this region and globally. And we demonstrate our commitment as a partner of choice and one that helps build an environment that ensures peace, prosperity, and a stable future in the entire Asia-Pacific region. In fact, earlier this week I had the honor of making a presentation at the PASOLS conference, which is the Pacific Area Senior Officer Logistics Seminar in Vanuatu. Admiral Locklear had asked me to speak because of what we do to support humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. And the focus of my presentation was on building relationships for successful assistance. And I entertained a number of questions by the individuals there as they sought more information about Transportation Command, our flexibility, our agility, and the capabilities that we're able to provide. I believe that events like PASOLS help us solidify our relationships. It's creating new partnerships, and especially in this time of a valuable, time-sensitive crisis, it's necessary that we have these relationships to help save lives and decrease human suffering. This international gathering was well attended, as I mentioned, by over 25 Pacific countries. So we've already seen the results of our teamwork and the support that we've provided to other natural disasters, and we look forward to continuing to build upon the relationships that we have as we deepen our security ties with existing alliances and creating relationships with emerging partners and nations. So it's an exciting command. It's one that we really cherish our capabilities and what we do and how we do our business. So with that, I will go ahead and open it up to questions and see what might be on your mind. Thank you very much, Paul.
General, thank you very much for the opening remarks. I think you did a great job of covering the landscape of all the capabilities of Transportation Command and the responsibilities. We're going to open it up to questions. Our first caller is from Hien Phong newspaper in Hanoi, and we'd like the caller to please identify yourself and then state your question, please. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Trần Thị Thu Loan. I'm working for Hien Phong newspaper, and I like General William Fraser, and not about transportation, but about the President Obama to Southeast Asian countries next month. I have two questions. The first, the President Obama will visit Indonesia, Brunei, Malaysia, and Philippines next month. ASEAN media state that the visits are aimed at reinforcing the U.S. alliance and facilitate its politics, economy, and security in Asia Pacific, but in fact to curb the rising up of China. So I would like to ask what's the viewpoint? And second, the geographic positions of the four Southeast Asian countries are regarded as Princess George to defeat China by a U.S.-led military alliance with Japan as a nuclear. Do you agree with that viewpoint? Thank you.
Paul, if you might, that was breaking up a little bit, but I think the question centered around the President's upcoming visit. Is that correct?
General, yes. The first question was on the President's upcoming visit and his priorities for the region in terms of the countries he's visiting. As you know, he's visiting several countries in the region. And the second part of the question, sir, I believe focused on the U.S. relationship with Japan and the potential for Japan and the U.S. to strengthen their relationship and how that might impact our relationship with China.
Okay, thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. In Transportation Command, I will say that my role in supporting the President's travels are to ensure that his visit goes very smoothly. We are responsible for the lifts, the transportation, and the logistics behind that. We coordinate very closely with his office as we make that visit a successful one. As you know, the President has made several visits to the region, and I think is obvious of his support for the rebalance to the region as we all work together for stability, security, and safety. And I believe his attendance at meetings such as he is coming to is indicative of our support for organizations such as that. So ASEAN, APAC, I think are important, which is why he's coming to the region to show his support for that.
Thank you, sir. And the second part of the question was how the strengthening U.S.-Japan relationship is seen, by the Chinese, and how do we balance our relationships throughout the region for the greatest possible productive diplomatic and military successes.
Thanks, Paul. I first would like to say that part of that is certainly more appropriate for State Department, but in my role in Transportation Command, we are very proud of what we do in building relationships and on an international basis. In fact, we have an outreach program in Transcom where we reach out to other countries to help them get a better understanding of who we are and what we are and how we do our business. In fact, earlier this year, we had individuals from Vietnam participate in a week-long program at our headquarters in Illinois. A very productive visit. We look forward to continuing that dialogue. But we've also reached out to other countries as a part of our partnership development. And in fact, Thailand and the Philippines participated in our programs this last year too. We will continue that program, that outreach, because I believe it increases trust and collaboration with one another as they get a better understanding of what we do. We are all about stability, security, and one of the areas that Transcom is working on is maritime security, which is something that I know in a number of areas many are concerned about, items such as piracy and how we might work together to decrease piracy events. So I'm proud of what we do and how we do it, and the outreach program is very successful.
Thank you, General. The next question is coming from Canberra, Australia. The caller is from ABC TV. Caller, if you could please state your name and then ask your question. Thank you.
Yes, hello. Michael Brissenden from ABC, Australian Broadcasting Corporation. I just have a question about climate change, and clearly that's a big issue in the region, and particularly in the Pacific region. There has been a lot of discussion about it. Do you expect the load to increase in terms of what you're doing? What contingencies are being made for the future in regard to dealing with climate change? And do you believe others in the region, such as Australia and other powers here, are pulling their weight in that regard?
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. As you can well imagine, we've all read and seen a lot on climate change. One of the things that I know that we are involved in is a continuing dialogue and discussion about capabilities and capacity that individual countries have with respect to responding to humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. We know that there are going to continue to be in the future events such as earthquakes, tsunamis, cyclones, and so we need to be prepared with our capabilities and the capacity to be able to respond. And so as that occurs and we have the right relationships, we have the right understandings in place, we'll be able to respond in a very timely manner. And we'll continue to work together as we develop those capacities and capabilities, which is what PASOLS was also about as they brought forth and focused on HADR for this specific conference to help build bridges and not walls and have a better understanding of what each individual country's capabilities are.
Thank you very much, General. The next questioner is from the South China Morning Post in Hong Kong. Caller, if you could please state your name and your question. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Teddy from the South China Morning Post in Hong Kong. I just got two questions. do you see the demand for logistical or transportation support in the East Asia area will be increased because China has stepped up its military development? And the second question is that Chinese military has stepped up maneuver in the East Asia, and President Xi Jinping has called on the military to boost their defense capability. Do you think it is a worrying sign for other East Asian countries?
Thank you. I must say that I had a very good engagement at FACEALS with the China delegation that was there as we discussed humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. It is obvious that there are capabilities that are resident that can help respond in a timely manner, and so those ongoing discussions at FACEALS were very much appreciated by everyone there. I do believe that as I look at the tyranny of distance here in the Pacific, that we have to have the right relationships in place, the right infrastructure, and understanding and abilities to respond in a timely manner. One of the things that we in the U.S. have learned from responding to previous events is the necessity to have the flexibility and the agility to respond, whether it's organic capabilities or commercial assets. In our command, we are unique because we have some capabilities that we can deploy just upon voice orders to get moving in the right direction at the request of whatever nation that may be. So this is important for us to understand the infrastructure. It's important for us to have the relationships, the collaboration as we work together, because the longer that we debate when an event happens, that is certainly continuing to put lives at risk. So having a better understanding in the relationships, cooperation early on will certainly save more lives.
Thank you, General. Our next caller is calling from Brunei. Brunei, as you know, this year is hosting the East Asia Summit, and we'll be having a visit by the President. So we'd like to go to them now for a question. Caller, please state your name and your question, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jin. I'm from the Brunei Times, and my question revolves around the recent HADR exercise that the U.S. participated in as part of the ADMM Plus framework earlier this year. My question is, what are the specific lessons learned by the U.S., and what do you think can be improvements done by organizations in this region revolving HADR?
Jim, thank you. I do not have a report on the lessons learned from that specific exercise, but I do know that every exercise we learn something. And what we do with that is we put it into our system for joint lessons learned, which then allows us to then go back and make sure that we correct items that we have seen. I know in previous exercises where we have worked together with other nations, we have found that there are communications challenges. The reason I highlight that is that we in our command, under the Joint Enabling Capabilities Command, have a unique capability that we can deploy to help improve communications, to have the right command and control, to get the right assistance in the right areas at the right time. And I know that's come out of other exercises. I also know that other exercises have identified areas of access and the need to have agreements in place ahead of time so that we're able to respond in a timely manner. Now, every time we have an event, it's really incumbent upon the nation that has experienced the event to make the request as to what kind of assistance they need. We make available our capabilities and what is known, and then stand by to provide whatever assistance we can. Sometimes it's in in ways of just monetary, so things can be purchased. In other ways, it's actual capabilities, hardware, tents, meals, water, things of this nature. So it's all incumbent upon the nation that has experienced the event to let us know what the requirements are.
Thank you, General. We're very happy to have participants from Palau with us today. It's the first time we've been able to connect with Palau for one of these conferences, and we'd like to invite them to ask a question. I believe they're all gathered together at a single location. So, journalists, if you could decide on who would ask the question and identify yourself and state your question for General Fraser. Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm Rolinda Jonathan from OTV News, Oceania Television Network. I have a two-part question. A couple of weeks ago or so, the United States delegation led by Secretary of Interior Sally Jewell participated in the post-forum dialogue meeting in the Marshall Islands for the Pacific Islands Forum. In light of that, how is the United States working collectively with many different organizations in the region in terms of building security and strengthening security in the Pacific region, especially in the areas of marine surveillance operation. In addition, what type of role does the Transportation Command play in surveillance of marine surveillance operation in this region, as it's a priority for the Pacific?
So I might answer the second part first in marine security. I do not have a direct role in marine security. We talk about maritime security and piracy events, and our role in that is working with our commercial partners. If they are moving some of our cargo aboard their ships, we actually coordinate with them to put embarked security teams aboard those ships in the high threat areas. In fact, since the Maersk, Alabama event that everyone is familiar with, the Transportation Command has put aboard embarked security teams, and we have not had a piracy event against one of our ships that has one of those teams aboard. So from a maritime security perspective, that is very positive. The other thing that we're working with many nations on is information exchange. And the fact that as we exchange information and then get that out to other maritime partners in high threat areas in a timely manner so that they might take necessary actions to ensure their security as they transit those areas. So having a collective common operating picture is something that we are working with many nations on, and organizations such as JCAP, headquartered out of Singapore, are doing that type of thing, which is very positive. We've talked to others about that as well. And the first part was about our regional architecture. Is that correct?
That's right, General.
Well, we obviously in Transportation Command are seeking to be a constructive partner. In fact, we work very closely, our organization does, with the State Department and with the bureaus to ensure that we are aligned properly and that we have the right engagements to continue to build our partnerships. And as we go out on our engagements, we actually visit State Department bureaus to get a better understanding of the region, of the initiatives and things that are going on so that we can make the proper engagements. We do that every single trip before we head out. So our participation and engagement, I believe, is opening a dialogue with many countries about the capabilities, about the capacity we have, and how we might work together, especially in humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. But that's just one example as we work to be a constructive partner in enhancing stability, security, and safety, both maritime and aviation.
General, if I just might follow up to that question, are there specific organizations outside U.S. or foreign government lanes that Transcom works with in the instance of a disaster relief event? Are there specific other types of organizations that you might to be partnered with?
Oh, yes, we do. We actually we watch the news like everybody else, and so when we see an event happen, we immediately within our headquarters will stand up a joint planning team based on the initial information that we get. Based on that, we will develop options and have an understanding of what capabilities that we may have in a particular area, whether that's a commercial capability or a organic capability that's inherent within the military. The Joint Planning Team then stands by for a request to come through State Department to Department of Defense and then down through the commander to us, and we are readily available with options and how we might respond. At the same time, specific to your question about who we might work with, is we look to see if other agencies are in the area, such as USAID or other non-governmental organizations. And so we have been reaching out to them to develop that relationship so that we have an understanding of what we may be able to provide. An example of that is that when there's a natural disaster, we have a joint logistics over-the-shore capability that we are able to deploy to then get goods off of ships onto shore and then outward move to that connection point with USAID or other NGOs so that they may then provide the necessary goods to those who have been affected. But we do work with other governmental agencies to develop that relationship and how we might tie in the event of a natural disaster.
Thank you, sir. I know we're running about out of time, but we do have a couple more people on the line. I'd like to go now to Thanh Nguyen newspaper in Hanoi, Vietnam. Caller, if you could please state your name and your question clearly for the General. We'd like to get this question answered and try to get one more in before we run out of time. Thank you.
Morning. It's Dr. Ning from Thanh Nguyen newspaper in Ho Chi Minh City. I would like to ask you a question. Because earlier this year, China Navy conducted operation inside the U.S. that. However, it is unclear if it was a one operation or an individual change. How did the progress so far in terms of moving individual access, for example? Thank you.
Paul, I apologize again. That was unreadable.
I hear you, sir. Caller, do you have your speakerphone on? If you do, please turn it off and talk directly on the handset and restate your question, please.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but there's a very strong echo. Let's put you on mute for one moment and go to our other Vietnam caller, and we'll come back to you at the end, okay? We'd like to go then to the Lao Dong newspaper, which is also in Hanoi. Caller, if you could please take your phone off speaker and ask your question of the General. Thank you.
Hi. This is Thủy from Vietnam. Thank you so much for taking my question. My question is based on President Obama to go to Brunei to attend the East Asia Summit in October. He's expected to raise the issue of South China Sea dispute there. So could you please explain the message that U.S. will convey there regarding this matter? And besides, Vietnam and U.S. is looking forward to strengthening the military cooperation. So can you name or reveal any U.S. next plans or steps to foster this cooperation with Vietnam, particularly with your U.S. Transportation Command? Thank you.
I believe part of that is certainly more appropriate for State Department and for the administration. For Transportation Command, I am very pleased with the relationship that we have with Vietnam in discussing logistics, The visit that we had earlier this year of your logisticians was very productive. In fact, I am in Jakarta today, and I am very much looking forward to my visit to Vietnam later this week, where we can further explore opportunities in the humanitarian assistance disaster relief area.
Thank you, General. And we have one last question from Palau, if that's okay. We'd like to get them on the line one more time because they have 6 journalists gathered together. So, Palau, if you could ask your final question of the General, and then we'll wrap this teleconference up. Thank you.
Hello, General. This is Palau again. There was one last question, and the question has to do with the relationship that the U.S. has with several Pacific Island countries in the North Pacific, known as the Compact of Free Association, which allows for strategic U.S. military presence in the countries in exchange for continued development and financial assistance. In the case of Palau, this agreement was renewed in 2011, but funding has yet to be appropriated due to sequestration and the need for all spending by the U.S. government to have an identified offset. Do you feel that this delay will affect the agreement with the U.S. military, and specifically the U.S. military presence in the region, especially with China making a very substantial push in the North Pacific region, both in private investment and government financial assistance?
Thank you. And what I can specifically speak to is the impact sequestration has had on Transportation Command. And to date, we have seen our abilities not impacted and have been able to respond to any tasking that we have been given. Sequestration, as we move to the future, will definitely impact the readiness of our forces, as they do not have the necessary resources to maintain the same readiness level. And so we are continuing to work with congressional members to help them understand the significant impact that sequestration will have as we continue to move into the future, and the unintended consequences that are created by these cuts in the sequestration bill. So we are deeply engaged with our congressional members, explaining the impacts, because I'm not sure that all had understood some of the unintended consequences of that particular bill. But we will continue to elevate that and express our concerns as to what the impacts will be in the future.
General, I want to thank you today for spending your morning with us, and all participants, thank you very much for your excellent questions. If you have follow-on questions about regional issues, you can always contact the AP Media Hub directly for those. And, sir, we look forward to having you out here again next time we see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Greatly appreciate it. Good day.
Good day.